Welcome back to Mid-Cap Radar. Well, we have a special guest, Girish Tanti, the Vice Chairman at Suzlon Energy, joins us now. Thank you so much, Mr. Tanti, for joining us. First up, we have to talk about how exactly the budget panned out, especially as far as the renewable energy is concerned. Not too many granular details is what we saw from this particular budget, but overall, from the point of view of a wind turbine developer and also from the point of view of a renewable energy, one of the largest renewable energy players, how did you view this particular budget?
Yeah, hi. Good afternoon, and thank you for taking me today. I think, we have had a very holistic budget this year, which is in line with our Prime Minister's Viksit Bharat, vision that he has set for the country. And it covers very nicely various segments of the society in a balanced way. So I think overall, the budget has been holistically very nicely done for all segments of the society. If we talk specific to renewable energy, I think we have had three important components here. The first one is that we have got the announcement of the National Manufacturing Mission, which is primarily going to focus around Make in India and how do we strengthen our ecosystem around that. The second one is on the National Export Mission, which is again going to primarily focus on how India can be the global hub for green energy manufacturing. And the last one is on the Green Corridor, strengthening our grid systems to take care of the renewable energy growth that we have. If I was to just to quickly touch base on these ones, I think the manufacturing focus is one of the first one, which is of utmost important. And the key elements there is that today, as we have seen, the growth of wind and solar in the country, there has been there's a need for harmonizing the policies between wind and solar, be it on the domestic content requirement, be it on the PLIs and other elements. And I think with this mission in place, we will see a more fair and equitable growth of both the sectors, which is very crucial because ultimately, it's important that wind and solar kind of grow together to make sure that the cost of energy to the end consumer is balanced out. Because while solar produces during the day, but the peaks which we have in our country in the morning and evening, this can be supplied from wind energy. So a balance of wind and solar together will ultimately deliver the least cost option to the end consumers. If you look at the export potential, I think, unlike in solar, where our local content today, from all the solar projects that's getting built, only 20% is made in India currently. Whereas in wind, we are already at 64%. And I think the industry is poised that by 2030, we will hit close to 85% local. And we are effectively, with the current manufacturing base that we have in the country of 15 gigawatts plus, as per the last Global Wind Energy Report, India is poised to take up at least 10% of the global market share in the wind market worldwide. So I think having the export mission will also be very crucial. And the grid expansion, which is happening, it's also important that our infrastructure grid, which is getting developed, is also keeping up to pace with the renewable energy buildup of assets.
Understood that. So thank you so much for breaking down the entire budget for us in that particular manner. Well, coming specifically to the wind energy sector, the government has set out a target of adding close to 50 gigawatt of renewable energy capacity every year, of which 10 gigawatt is expected to come with the wind energy itself. How has on-ground tendering been? We understand that that's been slightly muted against the government's own target. Number two, the feedback we get from wind energy players is that there is land availability issues, both in terms of land having enough high PLF factors and also having enough wind power capacity. So what is the kind of issues the wind energy players are facing when it comes to execution and also the tendering pipeline?
Yeah, so here if you see today, the industry we are just reaching about 48 gigawatts of wind installation against the country's target of 100 gigawatts by 2030. So we have 6 years to catch up, and we are just hitting the midway point of 50 gigawatts now at this point in time. So with that, we need another 50 gigawatts to come in the next 6 years. And I think if you look at the entire value chain, then from a manufacturing point of view, we have a good capacity as an industry. If you look at from an execution point of view, two key elements there. One is on the grid system, and other is on the land. If you look at the grid systems, then I think largely, of course, these investments are driven by and managed by government. And I think we have a very strong plan to make sure that the 500 gigawatts of renewable energy development by 2030 is achieved. So the grid systems are getting developed, keeping that in mind. Third component is the land component, and I think also I wanted to kind of get off the myth that whether do we have enough land available and is it of good quality and things like that. But just to give you some statistics, today the total wind potential of India is 1 terawatt, okay, of which we've just done about 48 gigawatts, which is just about 4% of the land available for investment in wind is utilized. So we still have 96% of land available in our country to do the projects. So there would be challenges on last mile implementation, ROW and other things, but that's part of the business. You have to manage those and work with the local communities to make sure we have a overall economic development of those areas wherever we are building the projects. So I think there is more than enough land availability in our country to grow the sector. So the 50 gigawatts target which we have as an industry, I think we are pretty strongly kind of believe that we should be able to kind of meet that and probably beat it by 2030.
Right, Mr. Tanti, good afternoon. Thank you for joining in. How does this benefit you as a company, right? Because you've mentioned you've mentioned a 50 gigawatt plan over the next 6 years. With you being one of the leading players in the industry, what part or how much will you be able to contribute through for this? And is there any inorganic acquisition opportunity that you are eyeing currently that will boost your capacity towards this endeavor?
Yeah, so I think today, if you see, cumulatively, we've had close to, 25 to 33% of the market that we kind of enjoy today in the industry. And going forward, I don't see any reason why we shouldn't be able to be within that band. So naturally, as the industry grows, the pie will be there. And as the overall growth comes, we will try to ensure that we maintain our market share in that growth. So from that point of view, we are pretty confident with the kind of products that we have, the projects that we are working, the client relationships that are built. And now also what has happened is that the market has, the overall market segments, if you see, now we have 3 market segments. You have the traditional bidding market, which has been there historically, which continues to grow. And then second market, which has opened up due to, deregulation of our regulatory system in the grid systems. We have the private sector. So today, all large Indian corporates have also set up their very strong focus growth for the decarbonization. So there is a strong growth from the India Inc. on investing in renewable energy. And the third segment is the PSU segment. The government themselves, all the private public sector units are also investing in renewables. So now we have more, almost 3 separate segments which are growing. If you see our Suzlon's order book, almost 50% of it is coming from the private sector, 25% coming from the bidding market, and 25% coming from the PSU segment. So there are various levers which will help to kind of grow into this space.
Mr. Tanti, one thing which you want to understand is that when it comes to the actual bidding, we understand that most of the tenders now are looking for more round-the-clock solutions, hybrid, FDRE. That is the kind of solutions that are coming. In that particular context, how does wind compare versus solar? Will you also be looking at a blended version of bidding where you'll probably tie up with other players to provide round-the-clock solutions?
Yeah, so I think 2 things there. The first one is that what's going to be the share of wind in the hybrid situation, and other is Suzlon kind of going to be able to provide an RE solutions to our customers. So if I take the first one, I think today when you look at round-the-clock power, and if you look at CEA's own data in terms of what is the best configuration to have the least cost option in the round-the-clock power, then I think the more you have the component of wind in your portfolio, you will be able to have the least cost option. So for sure, there is going to be a significant share of wind going to be there in round the clock for any projects that are coming. And largely because, as I explained earlier, that your peak demand of morning and evening in India cannot be served by solar, whereas wind can serve that demand. So when people are looking at round-the-clock power, cost of the energy from a consumer point of view, wind will have to be equal or better than solar in the overall portfolio to keep the cost of generation the least. In terms of Suzlon's readiness to be able to provide RE solutions, round-the-clock solutions to our customers, definitely I think we are a technology enterprise, and our focus is to make sure that we are able to provide comprehensive RE solutions to our customers. And as the demands are coming in that direction, we are preparing the organization in that space also.
All right, Mr. Tanti, thank you so much for sparing time and joining us today. Wish you good luck for the road ahead. That was the management there of Suzlon on the reactions post the union budget. Take a short break.